Welcome back. So let's try and actually add a new nickname right here because we're going to try and fix a bug. I'll send this. I'm Jimmy now. Now, if I go home right now, I'll actually disconnect from the server. That's bad because later on, I actually want us to be able to show if new chats pop in without us being on the page. So it's not good that we are now actually disconnected from the backend. When I go back, of course, I reconnect. Another problem is right now, even though I reconnect, I don't have a nickname. So I have to add Jimmy again right here and do a send. Now, if Jimmy is already on the backend, maybe I won't be able to do that because Jimmy should be a unique name. So that's also a problem we need to fix. And again, so disconnect, reconnect, I don't want to do that. I don't want to have to re-enter my nickname as long as I'm online. So let's try and go and fix that. Step one is we're going to start on the front end. And first of all, here is the connect and disconnect. On destroy, we disconnect. Let's get rid of that. We don't want disconnect anymore. And on initializing, we actually connect. Let's get rid of that. We don't want to connect anymore. It's going to do it automatically as soon as the application starts. And then we're not going to disconnect until the application is destroyed. Meaning when I do a refresh of the page like this, it will actually disconnect and reconnect. Okay, so that was step one. Now that is done, we don't disconnect, reconnect anymore when we move between the pages. Good. Let's try and put in Jimmy right now and do a send. Let's try and go home and go back again and notice Jimmy isn't there anymore. He just got destroyed anyway. How? Well, because the component is being destroyed right now and Jimmy is actually in here as a chat client. He's also being removed or deleted because this component is being deleted. So we need some kind of state to keep him alive while we kind of switch between these different pages right here in the Angular app. Now, you could start working with state management, and we are going to do that later. You could put this in local storage and we can play around with that later. But for now, I'm going to make it easy. I'm just going to put it inside the service because the service will actually stay alive as long as the application is running. So you can use the service for a simple state management system. And that means if I put in the chat client here and just keep it as a property, I don't want to do getters and setters right now. We'll move it later. But now I'm actually able from the outside to set the chat client and delete the chat client and get the chat client if I want to do that. Notice that I did not delete it in here, actually. I kept the chat client as a reference here as well because I want to be able to reference it in the HTML as well. Okay, so that was step one. Now we have the chat client available inside the service right here. Let's try and go down and see how we actually create a chat client. So notice, first of all, you need to know that the chat client will be set whenever the welcome package comes back. So I don't want to only do that anymore when I send the nickname. I want to be able to do it always if a new welcome package is returned. So I'll move this all the way up here to the initializer because now I always want to listen for welcome packages. Not only when I actually send a nickname. I always want to listen for welcome packages. That was step one. Another thing I want to do is when a welcome package is returned, I want to not only set it locally, I also want to set it on the service so that I have it in the state of that service. So when I add this right here, an extra client right here, it actually means that when a new client is returned, it'll be saved in the service and it'll be saved locally right here. Now the cool thing is, again, the service will endure. So that will survive even though I go back and forth between pages. And that's why this will work for us now. The final thing I need to do is kind of the same thing that you're seeing down here. I need to say, if there's actually a nickname available, then go and send that nickname to the backend. So we're going to do the same thing right here in the initializer. We're going to say, if the service actually has a chat client, if there is a chat client already added, that means that we are coming back from the first step, right? And then I want to send this chat client's nickname to the backend. So let's just try and add that nickname in here. There we go. Okay, so now we can send the nickname if there's a chat client, and we'll listen for this welcome message if that is actually the case. So let's try and see what happens now. If we go and we write Jimmy again, we do a send, and we go home and come back. Jimmy's back. But notice there's still a bug because the backend doesn't know that we can actually create a new client now just from the nickname. So it creates a new unique client every time that I go back and forth. And that's why you'll see the client list will grow slowly. So we need to fix that on the backend. But again, notice I'm already logged in as soon as I get in here with Jimmy, boom, and I have Jimmy available.